Hey guys, today I thought it'd be fun to do a houseplant collection video. I haven't done one of these in a while, and the last one I had like maybe 5 houseplants or something. I don't know, I have a lot more than I've showed in that video, so I thought it'd be fun to show you just before the end of 2019 happens, that this will just be my 2019 houseplant collection. I have different plants throughout the house, but this hutch has the majority of them. So I'll show you this hutch and then I'll kind of go around and show the other plants. I find these videos to be more helpful if you see where the plant lives instead of just me holding up different plants, because you can kind of see where the plant is and how it's thriving and stuff. And I'll go into very basic care and like experiences with each plant, but this isn't like a care video or anything like that. So I guess that's my only disclaimer, and yeah, we'll just start with this hutch and then move around my house. So first things first, I have this, which if I mention that a plant I usually missed, this is what I use, and I just do this a couple times on all the foliage and stuff. So if I ever mention that I missed a plant, I use this, which usually just hangs out right here. So then the first plant beside that is this, which is a Hoya obovata. And these are really cool. It has big circular leaves with little bits of variegation in it. Now I have 2 Hoyas and I don't really understand them. I feel like there's no growth. They're able to live and they're surviving, but I don't see any progression with them. Again, this isn't a care video, but will include it. I spray my Hoya about once a week with this Miracle Grow orchid plant food mix. I'm just on the foliage, and that's supposedly supposed to help. So yeah, this is an obovata, and I put it in this like circular pot, but every single one of my plants is either in its nursery pot in like a cash po or whatever, like a decorative pot like this one is. So this is still in its nursery pot. As you can see, it was $22, which is a pretty good deal. And then this pot doesn't have a hole in it, so I just left it in the nursery and I put it in there. So it's either in a decorative pot or that I can take it out of, or it's in a pot with a hole. Like, I don't deal with pots without holes. That's not how I am.
The mountains are that way.
Wait, really?
That's south.
Oh, I thought this was like a west or south facing window.
No.
Really? It's east?
The
I guess it
office.
makes sense because the sun rises over here, huh?
The office is south.
Okay. These are where my plants are along the hutch, and the window is right here. So, and then there's windows all along this wall, but this is the main window that this light gets, and I just found out right now that it's an east facing window. This whole time I thought it was a west. Next we'll talk about this plant right here, and this is gonna be the only air plants I really show you, just because I have a couple more air plants in my house. I'm not passionate about air plants, so I don't really care about them, but this is really cute. I just got this lantern, it does have an air hole, and I have 2 air plants in here. And I just dunk these in water for a couple hours every couple weeks, just honestly whenever I think about it. Yeah, air plants, I don't know, I don't love them, so they just live in that little lantern. Okay, the next plant is this, which is one that honestly I hate. I hate this plant. I think it's beautiful. It is a Peperomia silver ripple. Now it was in a different pot originally, and I have a video of me repotting this that I've never uploaded. Maybe I'll upload it. So this came in a nursery pot, and the lady told me after I bought it, she's like, you might want to repot it soon. So I was like, okay. Started to repot it, and there was like 5 millipedes living in the soil, and so that freaked me out. So I moved it into this pot and I got rid of all the millipedes. I think it has stem rot because some of the leaves will just pull right out. They turn brown and mushy. It just looks ugly, like it looks weedy. Like I wish it was more condensed instead of like hanging out. I don't know, but there's a lot of little baby growth on this plant too. Like there's a lot of different leaves. I think I repotted this guy badly, but it also freaked me out because there's millipedes everywhere. I didn't want to interact with him much. He is pretty, it's just, it freaks me out knowing that there's millipedes in here, and he might have stem rot, which I think it came with because it had that when I bought it. I don't know, this plant's kind of GG, but that's fine, whatever. Okay, this plant has been a roller coaster for sure. So this is a Pilea peperomioides. No, Pilea peperomioides. I don't know, I call it a Pilea. That's what I call him. I think he's so fun, but as you can see, there's a lot of stem without leaves, and that's because I had this guy, he was thriving, got more plants, moved him, and he started losing leaves like once a week. They'd turn yellow and pop right off. And I Googled it, and everybody said it was a watering issue. And I water this guy like maybe once a month, every 3 weeks. I don't know, just whenever the soil's completely dry. And people are like, oh, it's overwatering. And I'm like, that's impossible. Well, turns out it was a light issue. No one told me it was a light issue. So sometimes Googling your problems doesn't actually solve them. But anyway, so now he's doing great since I moved him closer to the sun. And that makes sense because this is an east window, which again, I just learned. So it's less strong than what originally I thought it was, which is a west window. Actually, all my plants, I rotate as much as I can to keep them straight. But this one, you can really tell if it's starting to lean one way or the other. Next to the pilea is this guy, which is my spider plant. He has grown quite a bit. Unfortunately, all the new growth has been really small leaves. I move this guy around, honestly, just wherever the heck I want him to go. Sometimes I put him on the dining room table, sometimes... Now he's living in this corner because I thought maybe the thin leaves was that he wasn't getting quite enough light. But otherwise he's thriving. I just water him whenever the soil's dry. I water him a little bit more than I would think to. So I feel like people usually vary on overwatering or underwatering. I'm very much an underwatering gal, so I'm trying to beat that habit. And this guy will lose some of the color in his leaves when he needs water, which is really interesting. But I started this guy from cuttings from my mom's plant, and he's really taken off. So he just lives his life. I don't know, I'm never really concerned about him. So here is my other Hoya, and I got this Hoya quite a bit ago, and it is a, why don't I know what this is called? A Hoya Crimson Queen is what I want to call it. I'm not sure if that's exact. So this guy had a lot of growth in the base, and he lost a lot of it when I first got him. Now granted, there's a lot of white leaves, and I know white foliage doesn't last forever because it can't get chlorophyll, which makes sense. But now he's just these two strands, and honestly, I like this guy, but I don't see any growth, so I'm kind of discouraged about this plant. Both of my Hoyas, I don't get them. At least after like the foliage died a little bit in the center, these two strands have been fine. Like I said, there's been like no growth on this thing, but it's not dying either, so I don't know. But again, I spray this guy about once a week with that Hoya spray. The Hoyas just make me nervous. I feel like there's no indicator if they're doing well or not. Okay, hello. So this is my string of hearts. I'm gonna zoom out now. Boop. So this guy I just got, I wanna say last week. He's honestly so beautiful. I've wanted one for a little bit, but they made me nervous. He has so many little flowers, and I think he really likes it in the space. It's nice because he's able to drape over, and I think he gets enough light where like the top isn't gonna die. If I feel like one day he's not getting enough sunlight, I might move him down to allow him to even out. Ideally, I would think you'd have one of these guys in a hanging pot that you could rotate him slowly to make sure it's like an equal rainfall. But I like what I have, which is just draped over the hutch. I just love him so much. I just bought him, so I remember he was $40, which was, I thought, a steep price at first, but that's because he was only like this long and all the strands were like wrapped up on the top. So it took me like 30 minutes to detangle him because they're so delicate and they tangle so easily. But after I was able to do that, he had so much growth. Okay, I see another fungus gnat flying around and it pissed me off. If one of you guys has fungus gnats, I'm gonna throw up. He's new, so I don't know. I haven't watered him yet because he came like sopping wet. Okay, this guy next to him is a Pathos Pearls and Jade plant. Let's zoom in on that foliage. Nice. Before I had the string of hearts, he was more like on the corner, draped on both sides. But to allow for the string of hearts to get enough light, I've completely draped him over this side. And he's been doing really well. I've repotted him myself. He was in this pot and he didn't need it. But it was one of those where he wasn't doing well, so I was like, I'm just gonna repot him and restart. I don't know if that's like the right thing to do, but it's what I felt like doing, and ever since I did repot him, he's been thriving. All the foliage is standing upright, which shows me, which I don't know if this is true, it has enough water and it doesn't need light, or I don't know. Like, I think he's just doing really well. He's got quite a bit of these long strands, which is kind of fun, but he's been doing great. Pothos are super easy. I think he gets good enough light. Water him when he's dry, or if the leaves look a little sad and droopy. This next little corner is my absolute pride and joy. These are my favorite plants. They are on this like white IKEA cart that I bought, and it fits here perfectly. These are the plants right here that are my pride and joy. They're the ones that need humidity. I have this essential oil diffuser running always, which I know is not as good as a humidifier. But the only humidifiers I can find are bulky and ugly. So this is what I have for now, and I spray these guys. I used to spray them just like every hour, which I don't think is a problem. I don't think you can like spray a plant too much. If you're just spraying the leaves, obviously like don't spray into the soil. So I have this essential oil diffuser that I run. I learned recently that you shouldn't necessarily spray your plants in the dark because it attracts more pests. So I now turn this guy off at night and I don't mist my plants at night, but otherwise these guys I mist honestly like every hour to 5 hours. Like whenever I think about him, I missed him. But we're gonna start with this guy, and this is a variegated rubber tree. Let's see if I can show you the base that he's in. He's in this little basket, so he's in his nursery pot that I just put him in this basket. This is not my first rubber tree. I got a variegated rubber tree and he got spider mites, and I didn't catch it in time, and also that was my first ever encounter with a pet. I've only had spider mites and fungus gnats. So I saw the spider mites. How I noticed is there's a bunch of webs in between like the branch and the little stem offshoots. There's a bunch of webs, and then there's these like orangish dots moving around on the underside of the leaves, and I didn't catch it in time, and I didn't know what to do, and so I isolated it and it wasn't doing well, so I just threw it away, which I'm sure is a tragedy. But yeah, it was a bummer, but I bought a new one. This leaf did offshoot since I've had him, and he's starting to grow another one right here. Some of the variegation has some browning on it, but that's just pretty common. Like, I don't think that's anything I'm doing. I think it's just because I live in Colorado and it's wintertime. Like, it's super dry. Like I say, I mist him whenever I can. It's hard because I don't know exactly. I think I need to water this plant a little bit more than I think, because I water him like once a month, and I think maybe even once every 5 weeks. Like, I think I wait too long, and so I lost one of the little baby ones. He's also a little crooked, so eventually I'd like to get a stake and kind of prop him up. A quick side note, I have this, which is a mason jar full of filtered water. Why I keep it in this is because we have a Brita filter, and I fill this up with the Brita filter, but since it's cold from the fridge, I keep it in this. So I have room temperature filter water at all times, which is what I water with the plant that I'm about to show you next. This is a Calathea ornata beauty star. The rubber tree did need humidity, and I knew that, and I sprayed them every once in a while, but I was like, I still feel confident in owning this. This was the first plant that I bought that I was like, I am terrified of this thing. I don't want it to die. I know it needs humidity. I know it's super sensitive. So this is the guy I water with filtered water. Like, I know of these things, but I saw it and it was beautiful. And there are so many Calathea and Astromanthe and what's the other? Frick, what is it? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna Google it. This is pissing me off. Marantas! I think Calatheas, Astromanthe, and Marantas, prayer plants, all that, I think they're beautiful. So this is the first one that I did, and it's doing pretty well. Like, it unfurled a new leaf. It already had the leaf starting to unfurl when I bought it, but it unfurled healthily. It might get too much light because it is starting to lose some of those like pink lines on the top leaves. But I want to keep it here because it gets good humidity. So it folds down during the day so it can get the sunlight, and then it folds up at night, which is why it's like in the prayer plant family. They need high humidity. They need more water than you'd think. I watered mine with filtered water because if you don't, they can turn brown or yellow more easily. One thing that was cool is, so this big leaf, one day I came home and he was curled, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's because it's like folding and it curled, and the next day it was still curled, and I felt the soil and it's pretty dry. That's a good way to know if this guy needs water, is if the leaves are curled up just a little bit. I'd say you probably want to water it a few days before it gets to that point. Also, I'm not really telling you how often I water. It's because I don't freaking know. I just feel the soil with my little fingers, and if it feels dry, I water, and if it doesn't, then I don't water. The next guy I'm going to show you is back here, but I'm going to pick him up because he's back there and I don't know how to get the camera out there. So this is Astromanthe Triostar, and I'm a Facebook group, which already means I'm an old lady and I need help. But they're enablers, and one time they were like, post like your wish plant, like the plants you want the most. And so I was like, I listed the 3, which are now 3 that I own. One of them was the string hearts, one was Astromanthe Triostar, and then the other was a watermelon peperomia, which I have a cutting. I'll show you in a little bit. So someone's like, I have a Astromanthe Triostar that's not doing so well, I'll give it to you. And I was like, okay, great. So this is free. The plant was not doing well at all. So what I did is I took some cuttings off of it and I put it in this water. Later, I watched a video that said this is like very hard to do. So if this guy doesn't root, honestly, that's fine. These guys just get so big and they're beautiful. Like, look at this foliage. It's like very variegated, and then the undersides are like fuchsia. It's beautiful, but I was like, I'm not ready to have one, but then someone was offering it for free, so I was like, well, I'll try. So we'll see if these guys get roots, but honestly, if it doesn't, I'm 100% fine with that. I'm not that attached, okay? I'm not that freaky. Okay, the next plant is my newest baby. And this plant deserves just a second of recognition. He is in a cement pot, and that is from a brand called Crust and Stone. And if you watch my first plant video, the pothos that I'll show you in a little bit, I bought that from Crust and Stone, and that was my first houseplant. And that's what started all of this, was freaking crusted stone that was at like a market near me that I went to. So I went to another event, and Crust and Stone was there, and they were selling this for $25. I don't know how much Monsteras usually sell for. When I first walked by Crust and Stone, I was like, oh cute, like they're back and this is what started it all, and I saw the Monstera and it was $30 and I was like, but I don't need it. Like I had just bought this string of hearts I think a day or two earlier, so I was like, I'm not gonna get it. All the nurseries near me, they have huge ones that are like $120, and I'm like, obviously I love houseplants, but I don't need that. Again, don't have the room for it. Or they look like this, which is just a bunch of small leaves with no fenestration. So I've always wanted a Monstera, but I never got one. What? Do you hear that? Our neighbors are freaking, are they playing DDR? Hello? I've been wanting Monstera for a while. I saw this one when it got down $5 to $25. Josh, my husband, was like, you should just do it. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I don't know how to make a moss pole and I don't feel like I want to learn. So I might just get like a wooden, I think aspen is what you want to get it made out of. I don't know, wood that doesn't rot. And eventually I'll get a pole to kind of have him climb up, but right now he's been doing okay. And they like humidity as well, so this corner is just plants that like the humidity. Like, I thought that was such a good deal, and I've always wanted a Monstera, and it's not a huge one. Okay, that's enough of that. I have still so many freaking plants to show you. This is ridiculous. Okay, so the next plants I'm going to show you up here, and let me see if I can try to figure this out. So these are the east-facing windows. Right over here is my hutch. So here's some more east-facing windows, and if you go around, maybe you can see about how far away they are from the window. Does that make sense? So yeah, they are pretty far away from the east window, but these are two plants that don't need a lot of light. So first I'll show you this guy, which is my spider plant. Not spider, snake plant. A Sansevieria, and he has grown a lot since I've had him. This leaf, because it used to probably be like this tall. Like this leaf especially made me notice how much he's grown. And these are pretty slow growers. Like this pot doesn't have any holes in it. He does have some roots coming out from the bottom, but I don't think that's an issue. He was $9. He's really cute. He's just, I water him whenever he's like super dry. Like the nice thing about these nursery pots is you can tell when they need water because they're super light. Okay, so this is the pothos I was talking about, where it was like my first plant that I got from Crust and Stone, and I did repot him myself in this pot because the cement planter, after a while I felt it was too small, and I think I have a video of me repotting it. Has a lot of new growth, but all of it's pretty small, and it might just be because it's farther from an east window. These guys are super easy. This is a Marble Queen pothos, and like I said, like has a lot of foliage. It is starting to vine a little bit, but I mean it's still like in this pot. Eventually it should go down. The outside of this pot's not doing its best. I feel like I want to get off all this white stuff. I forget what's called. He's an easy plant, no problems. Again, water it when it's dry. I think potentially he's in too big of a pot. Like I think I started him out too big of a pot. So the next pot is here, but this isn't a very cute look, so I'm gonna just grab it and face, I guess, this bookshelf. That's really ugly. So this is a Aglaonemia, or a Chinese evergreen. This was $12. I forget what type. I think I thought it was a tigress perhaps, but this is what the foliage looks like. Chinese evergreens are super easy to care for. They don't need a lot of light. Some of them, like, I don't like the pink ones or the ones with like little tiny white dots. This guy though has beautiful leaves in my opinion. And the great thing is this guy kind of looks like a calathea without having the requirements of a calathea. Like I think this guy and my Beauty Star have similar feels to them. I think this guy is just beautiful. No problems here. He's super full and bushy. And so yeah, he's just great. Again, I water him when this feels dry, and it's starting to now, but digging my finger in a little bit, I don't think he needs water quite yet. And this is a pot I got recently, which is just adorable. It has little teeth around it. It does have a hole at the bottom, which is amazing. So eventually I'll plant an actual plant in here. But for now, because this guy doesn't need to be repotted, and he was on our coffee table, so I think he looks good in here. It's significantly bigger than his nursery pot, but since the foliage is so full, you can't really tell. Okay, so those are all the plants in this room, and I swear I'm almost done. There's just one other room I have to show you, which is the office, which has a south-facing window. So for the office, I'll just kind of get out of the way, and this is what it looks like. This is not an aesthetic desk, I will admit, but it's just the plants that need a lot of light, and I'm not in here much, so I just kind of set them on the desk. So I'm just going to start off with some plants. Okay, I have 4 succulents. I don't feel like showing them to you. This plant I got from Josh's family last Christmas. This is a sago palm, or a sago palm. This guy, he is planted in some rocks, which is a bummer, and eventually I'd like to repot him, but honestly I just haven't thought about it that much. But I water him about once a month just because I don't think he needs more than that. Fill up the water to the top, let it absorb, fill it up more, and then I just tip it over and I pour all the extra water out. So that's this guy. He's just a little beachy boy. Next is this guy, which is Josh's plant, and this guy's freaky. When we bought it, it was called a velvet vine, but he is constantly putting out these bright pink flowers always. There's always flowers on this plant. Now I need to cut it because look at how like leggy it is. It loses all of its lower leaves and then it always is putting out new ones. So eventually I'm gonna cut it, root it, and then make it not look like this. This plant was a housewarming gift, believe it or not. This is the same plant. Put it in that east facing window and it stretched out a lot, and then it just kept growing, where one day I came home and it was like sideways on my desk, so I cut off the tops. So this is the bottom of it, and then I propagated it, and look at all of its roots. Look at all of those roots. It's so beautiful. It's only been in this for like a week or two, so this guy is a fast grower. This is a Tradescantia. It's called like Noah in the Cradle or something like that. It has these purple under leaves, if you can kind of see them. So my last real plant here is this Euphorbia, and I got this for free off of that houseplant thing. A guy just had a bunch and he's like, does anyone want it? I repotted it because the pot he gave me in was infested with fungus gnats. Like they were just flying out of the pot. So I took off all the dirt, repotted it, and watered it with hydrogen peroxide. And I haven't seen a fungus gnat since near this guy, so that's good. And then last but not least, this is my little propagations right now. 2 pilea, actually there's 3 pilea babies in here, they're just in 2 orbs. But they are rooting pretty well if you can see them, especially this one in the middle right here. So I will repot this guy soon. And then this is one watermelon peperomia clipping that a lady gave me. It has no roots, no signs of root, but I have a single watermelon peperomia leaf. One of the nurseries that I went to had a watermelon peperomia, but I got the string of hearts instead because that brought me more joy. But these are my little propagations. Okay, we're finally done. We made it. Let's film the outro. So those are all of my plants. Thank you for watching. I think this video is gonna be long because I kind of talked about the plants longer than I thought I would. I'm sure I'll cut some stuff out. So that's everything. Let me know if you have questions. I want to keep making houseplant videos. I know they don't get the most interaction on my channel, but it's honestly, it brings me so much joy that I'm just gonna keep making videos about it. But yeah, let me know if you have questions, or I don't know, leave me a comment about plants because I'll read it and with joy and happiness. So that's all my plants. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!